Okay, so we're back, no? So pinag-uusapan natin kanina about the resurrection. Bakit pwede nating paniwalaan itong pangyayari ng resurrection? Or we're gonna continue on that, role, no? So pagpatuloy natin itong kwentuhan na to. And this time, we're gonna focus first on the change lives.
Yes,
right?
of the
Change
people
lives
who
of the
saw
people.
Jesus alive, which are the disciples, no? With that, no, some of the critics would say that maybe the disciples hallucinated Jesus. All the disciples. By the way, when we talk about the disciples, not just the 12, there were hundreds of disciples.
500 just to be specific, di ba?
There were a lot of them.
And then eyewitnesses.
They saw Jesus. Now, one person can have a hallucination. Okay? Another person can have the hallucination, but it is almost impossible for two people to have the same hallucination or dream to say that, no, we saw Jesus alive. And here, we're not just talking about two.
We're talking about
12 and
500
hundreds and people who saw Jesus. We all know from the Gospels that the disciples tells us that that there were a lot, they saw Jesus.
Yes.
And then, if you look at the writings of Paul, again, we'll go to this, he's the enemy of the of
si
Christ.
Paul himself.
Ayaw niya maniwala. He was against.
Yes.
And we'll go there. But he also mentioned that there were a lot of people who saw Jesus. 500.
500.
He wrote it actually in one of his letters. That there's a creed which was made a short time after Jesus' resurrection, talking about his resurrection. And he's telling them that he saw Jesus, the disciples saw Jesus, and there were a lot. Hundreds of people who saw Jesus, that he's actually telling the Corinthian church, you can ask.
You can check it out with them. They're still alive. Some of them are still alive.
They're alive. They're still alive right now. Talk to them and they will tell you what they saw.
Parang parang sinabi mo sa akin na, parang sinabi ko na, again, pag sinabi ko si Ninoy Aquino, Nilason, hindi ka maniniwala sa akin kasi you are an eyewitness sa kung ano nangyari sa kanya na binaril siya, na
nakita natin sa TV,
diba? So some of the people, parang tayo, buhay pa tayo, now go check it with those eyewitnesses. No? It's very similar to that. No? So, go ahead.
And so imposibleng hallucination siya. It's harder to believe that on the theory that all of them hallucinated Jesus. Rather than to say na totoo talagang nakita nila si Jesus. Now, siguro I want to also jump into the Gospels, no? People have a problem believing the Gospels because they say hindi sila pare-parehas exactly ng account.
Okay.
O parang ito, one women lang, two women lang, and then the other gospel would say this and that. But it actually tells us that the Bible, the Gospels, was not fabricated.
Yes, totoo.
Kung sobrang parehas lahat ng accounts, doon mo ma-realize na, pinag-usapan namin yan. Kailangan ng sulat. But it tells us that these are reliable testimony of what happened and different perspective. They were written
Normal yun. Like for example, when you see a car accident, yun nangyari, from your perspective, you're gonna tell the story. Now, some of the details that you're going to observe might not be observed by the other person looking from the other side of the incident. Diba? Yung sa nangyari doon sa accident. Right? So, we're gonna be talking about a similar thing that happened from different points of view. Different vantage points ba? Tama ba?
That's why we call it historicity rather than history. No? Kasi it's perspective rin. And that's where the Bible differs. Not that they disagree with each other, but they have different focus.
Yes.
And it tells us hindi siya pare-parehas. That should actually give us that comfort na hindi to inimbento.
Tama.
No?
And the thing is, if you put them all together, you actually see the whole picture.
With that in mind, we would know, you'd actually take comfort na hindi exactly the same in story. Then it's not a collaboration, it's not fabricated.
Kumbaga sa hindi tayo nagkopya, hindi tayo nag-cheating, di ba? I mean, kung ginawa natin parehong-pareho, di halatang nag-cheating tayo, di ba?
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think they're gonna do that, right? Yeah. And again, the changed lives, yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina. Si Paul. Paul, initially, he was called Saul. He was a persecutor of the Christians.
Yes, exactly.
He was a killer. 'Di ba? Pinagpapatay niya, inuusig niya at pinapatay niya yung mga Christians, ikinukulong niya. But then, what happened?
He saw Jesus.
Yes, he saw Jesus. He got converted. He gave his life for Jesus, for the cause. 'Di ba? Imagine, without the resurrection event, it wouldn't make sense na nag-convert siya. Ganun din sa the rest of the apostles who gave their life for Jesus, no? Mabilis pag-usapan, baka nagkataon, nagsisinungaling lang sila, may agenda sila. Pero let's talk about, okay, sabihin na natin, ano yung possible agenda roon? Pera? Honor? Anong pag-uusapan natin doon? Babae? Malabo naman siguro yun, di ba? Di ba? Sabihin na natin, meron kang tinatagong kalokohan. Alam mo, pag ikaw tinotorture ka na, pag ikaw, papatayin ka na, pag alam mo nagsisinungaling ka, what are you going to do?
Confess.
Magko-confess ka na para matapos na, di ba? But no, they don't do that. They went to the grave professing and believing in Jesus Christ, no? Sabi nga ni Peter, this is not just some clever made-up stories, no? This is actual things that we saw and heard.
That changed their life.
That changed our lives. That's why we are so committed, no? Again,
you wouldn't die for a lie.
Yes.
Yeah, you only die for something that you see. That's the truth. And that's what happened to Paul and the disciple. Paul, a persecutor of the church, who a champion of the gospel, who gave his life for the gospel. The disciples were Kala natin lagi mga disciples, matatapang, great leaders, no? But no, they were fearful. They abandoned Jesus when he was and yet when they saw Jesus, they gave their life for him. They become martyrs.
Yes, they become martyrs.
Because they saw Jesus. James, the brother of Jesus, didn't believe in Jesus. They thought that he believed that he was crazy. He was a skeptic.
Yes.
And yet, James, when they saw Jesus, it all made sense. He's actually become the leader of the church.
The church in Jerusalem. He became the leader. Right?
So from fearful people who abandoned Jesus or denied Jesus, they become radical followers of Jesus, gave their life. Many of them executed for their faith. And again, nobody would be foolish enough to die for a lie. But they were believing in something that they believe is true. They saw with their own eyes. And that's why they gave their life to Jesus.
And we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some archaeological findings that can corroborate the claims of the Bible.